At this time, I would like to introduce this year's keynote speaker. A Stuyvesant alum, he has made a name for himself in the literary world, and that name grows bigger by the day. Ever since Principal Ted told me he'd be coming, I promised myself I would read his award-winning book, Super Sad True Love Story. I have not yet wrote something. This is kind of like how I promised myself I would not write my entire senior portfolio for Mr. Anderson the night before, except I kind of did. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble honor and privilege to introduce the keynote speaker for the class of 2011, Mr. Gary Shteyngart.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you for buying my book. Finally afford that hot dog I've always wanted. Dear graduates, dear parents of graduates and friends, dear faculty, I am so honored to be here. When I was told I was to wear an academic gown, the beloved Mr. Bernardo emailed me and told me he thought, judging by my photos online, that I was around 5'8". That was the nicest thing anyone at Stuyvesant has ever said. The terrible truth is I am not 5'8". I am 5'6". On a good day. On some days with the humidity, I'm 5'5". But today I am truly standing tall, proud to wear this slightly oversized academic gown. You see, I missed my own Stuyvesant graduation. I was not the world's most functional senior. So my first life lesson for you today is write things down, especially dates. At my college alma mater, Oberlin College, which is somewhere in Ohio, the custom was not to wear a gown at all for graduation, but to paint your body all kinds of psychedelic colors, and then to show up au naturel. Upon careful consideration, I decided not to do so today. Yeah. From what I understand, the Stuyvesant class of 2011 is basically a race of superhumans. You have one sing during senior and junior years. Something that hasn't happened since the Tudors ruled England. Your math team has outmatched most of its competitors. As a former member of the debate team, I'm happy to say your speech and debate team would have made toast out of Lincoln and Douglas. Seniors have been recognized as finalists in this year's Siemens Foundation competition in math, science, and technology. And it goes on and on. I read your accomplishments and I think, wow, in my year we were just happy to pass the chemistry regions. But you members of the class of 2011, you are unstoppable. Stuyvesant means a lot to me, more than any other educational institution, and I think I've been through about all of them. Stuyvesant took a small, furry immigrant from the far edges of Queens, who had been to Manhattan maybe 3 times in his life, and made him into a man. I discovered downtown, I discovered the urban existence, I discovered people who didn't look like me and didn't eat borscht with a wooden spoon. I remember my Russian mother who was so scared of sending little Gary, or little Igor, as I was then called, out into the cruel world of Manhattan, that she hid out front of the old Stuyvesant building on 15th Street behind a tree, and followed behind me to make sure I wasn't killed on the way to the L train. But those were different times for our city. Being loved was actually an interesting, sometimes athletic part of life. We would keep a special mugger's wallet for when we were assaulted with just $5 inside, and we'd stash the rest of our money in a sock. We also didn't have this iTelephone and Facebookering and Twittering technology. In those days, the intertube was just a dream in some military lab. So we talked to one another instead using our mouths. We verbal one another. Some sophomore would come up to you while you were just finishing up getting mugged, and he'd say, "Hey, I'm Johnny Woo, I'm from Bayside." And I'd say with my mouth, "Oh, I'm Gary Shteyngart, I'm from Little Neck." And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got a cousin who lives up by you, Jenny Woo." We all talked like we were in West Side Story back then. It was the 80s. And they'd say, "Hey Gary, you want we should get pizza with the guys? We're gonna do some problem sets and stuff." And just like that, without social networking, without the iTelephone, we'd get a pizza. I mean, a real pizza, not some kind of, cyber pizza. Mushrooms, peppers. So yes, Stuyvesant, I know this place a lot. Everything I would become later on, a desk clerk at a moving company, a janitor at a failing nuclear power plant, and finally a writer of super sad dystopian fiction. Everything I owe to Stuyvesant. Being an old man in junk, I was asked to deliver some words of wisdom. What can I tell you? Life is hard. That's what I learned. You know what? It's never going to be as hard as it was in Stuyvesant. I remember walking into my dorm room at Oberlin College, and everyone was talking about a Beatles class they were taking. No AP physics, no nanotechnological internship at Intel. Here were young men and women majoring in Beatles studies. One guy even had a Ringo concentration. Well, that was me. The point is, it's never going to be quite as hard as it was here. You have survived and excelled. You have charted a path beyond the evolutionary scale. Darwin, if he met you, he'd crap his pants. Who can we thank for this? Our parents. God bless us. They pushed us hard. They pushed me hard. When I showed up to Stuyvesant, I didn't know anything about math or science. I went to a parochial school, so mostly I knew how to beg God for forgiveness. Knowing laughter from the audience. Now, I didn't have the grades for a normal Ivy League school, so I had to weasel my way into the Cornell School of Hotel Administration. Don't even ask me how I got in there. I'd never even stayed in a hotel at that point in my life. And my average was 86.894. I figured it out in the nearest 100. But in the end, I was in love with this girl, and she was going to go to Oberlin, so I followed her. Of course, she dumped me the first day we got there. She was majoring in John Lennon, and my Ringo concentration didn't cut it. So yes, life is hard and sad, very sad, super sad. But these days I got tons of Stuyve friends from the old days, and we all work from morning to sundown. And we all have interesting lives, the kind of lives our often immigrant parents would have given their borscht for. We're writers and artists and lawyers and doctors. We hope to run this country, sometimes into the ground. But if we had to do it again, well, maybe we wouldn't have worked as hard and still emerged as good, successful people. maybe we would have been kinder and gentler and more sympathetic and less competitive with one another. Maybe the one thing, and really the one thing they didn't teach us here, how to just spend hours and days with our brains turned off completely. The art of just leaning back and letting the world, this beautiful world, just float by, and thinking, hey, maybe I am the walrus who proved it true. Because while you leave Stuyvesant, in many ways, Stuyvesant never leaves you. And some days I wake up, and in my mind, I'm still trying to pass those chemistry regions, and still trying to pump up my average to 90.01. Look out, Carnegie Mellon. And I'm still having that non-digital pizza with Johnny Woo in the game. Today I salute him, and us, and most importantly, you. Congratulations, Stuyvesant class of 2011. Onwards and upwards.